No pencils, no grids, no high-tech tools, just raw vine charcoal and one of the most intense faces in cinema today, Cillian Murphy. Let's see if realism is even possible like this. These are the supplies we are going to use. Basically vine charcoal sticks, charcoal dust for tinting the paper at the beginning, different erasers, kneaded eraser, electrical eraser for the hardest and lightest highlights, my mono zero, pencil eraser for fine details, the paper stamp or tortillon, a little bit of cotton piece to soften the background, and a regular eraser cut in one square. I'm not sure if I'll be using this or not, but we're staying away from all kind of pencils or brushes or fine stamps for details. I began by sprinkling some charcoal dust on the paper. I'm using mixed media paper Strathmore because it's pretty smooth and it allows me to make all the effects that I want with the charcoal itself. So after I sprinkle a pretty good amount on the paper, I soften it all with a cotton ball until I get a nice smooth surface to work with. I began by quickly marking the top of the head, the bottom of the chin, because that will tell me where the face is, and then the different marks that I see, like the color. And the beauty of this situation is I'm working pretty much life size, and that is how I can do this, because I can just look at the photograph that is roughly the same shot, the same size as my drawing, and go parallel to it to figure out where every line is going to be. So that is something that you can definitely do. So obviously I'm working with a very small paper. My size is 9 by 12 inches. And the photograph is a little bit smaller to fit the regular printer that I use. So I work my way around the contour of the head, because the head placement is obviously going to be the most important. If I were to start, let's say, in the eye or the nose, they're gonna get way too big, and then suddenly I'm gonna run out of room to work on the head. So you always want to mark your territory, and the contour of the head is the best way that I found out to start. I place the ears. The ears are very easily marked because they roughly fall in the middle of the face. And the jaw line, when I'm working with or drawing a man, men have, as a general rule, stronger jaws than women. So even though Cillian Murphy has a pretty round face and his jaw is not all that strong, it's still commanding. So I'm gonna have to make sure that it's sharp enough to have that masculine effect. I proceed by marking the eyebrows, because the eyebrows are easy to find. They're a little bit above the top of the ears, and I'm not worrying about the eyes yet. I just mark the hair really quickly, roughly where it's going to fall, and at this point I'm not too concerned with getting everything exactly where it needs to be, because I do not have enough information. I place the top of the eyes and the bottom of the nose, and I'm noticing that the bottom of the nose is basically at the bottom of the ear, so that's easy to mark. And the middle of the mouth, which is roughly between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. I always do the middle of the mouth first, and then the bottom of the mouth, and then the top of the mouth near the phildrum. And once I have that, then everything is easier. I mark the size of the nose because I have basically enough information to do that, where the neck falls, and the neck is easier to mark too, because I can look at the ears as a guidance, the top of the shoulder, and you can see already that the face and the whole portrait is within the page. So I won't be running out of room for features or anything. I know where everything is going to go, so I quickly mark the tie, the collar, and a couple of lines for the suit. Now that I have all the lines that I need, I'm quickly shading the under eyebrow section and the hair. I'm trying to look at where the darkest darks are and placing them very loosely with my 1-inch vine charcoal, and I'm using that because I can cover a lot of territory very quickly, and I do not want to get very precious at this stage. I proceed by working on the nose, and if you know me, you know that the nose is my strongest feature, the one that comes easiest for me. So I always like to work there when I start refining features, because it's like mile zero from which everything will be measured upon or from. So the strongest my nose is and the better placement, the easier will be to find the rest of the features. So I really take my time at the beginning to try to get it as good as I can before moving into the rest of the face. After the nose is basically placed the way I want it to and it looks good, then I start working on the mouth, because the mouth is closer to the nose than the eyes. And once I have the nose on the mouth, then it'll be much easier to place the eyes. So I work at the top and the bottom and shade it as I can and try to place it as good as I can, even though I know much refinement will be needed once I have the eyes in place. So basically, the more information I have, the more I can refine the features. A very common mistake that most beginners made, and including myself, I made so many of those, is try to get everything perfect from the beginning. Work in the mouth for days at a time before you even have the nose, or vice versa. You cannot do that because you don't have enough information. You have to place things as good as you can find them at the beginning, but don't get too precious on it, and just trust the process that every time you add one more line to the paper, then more information will be revealed to you. I know that the temptation to place the eyes right now is very strong, but I urge you to hold on and don't do that yet until all the bone structure of the eyebrows and the cheeks is completed, because you need something for the eyes to settle right. If you don't have those bones properly first, then the eyes are not going to be anchored successfully. So wait until you have all that properly positioned, and then you can think about working on the eyes. But usually I wait as long as possible, and I want to make sure that everything else is what it's supposed to be or very close to it, because the eyes are very difficult. And the reason why the eyes are very difficult is because, unfortunately, we have two of them. So both of them have to be placed where they need to be, or the person will look very strange. I continue working on the shirt, and at this stage, and now starting to add more pigment and more charcoal, and I still working on the darkest areas, because the darker areas will tell me how light the light areas need to be. And I'm always sharpening the charcoal. I'm not always showing you in the video when I'm sharpening the charcoal, because it will get boring, but rest assured that I'm doing it very frequently throughout the drawing, because vine charcoal is very, very soft, and you will lose the point very quickly. So if you don't keep the stick as sharp as possible, then you're gonna find features in completely different planets. I mean, I'm telling you that it's gonna be 2-3 millimeter difference, and it will get really frustrating. So even though it's annoying to have to sharpen it all the times, but make sure you're very diligent and in doing so. And that is the reason why you see the sheet of sandpaper to the right attached directly on the drawing board, because that way it's much easier than if I have to find it and then sharpening the pencil or the stick and then going back to my drawing. No, I have it right there on my eyes, right next to the drawing, and it's a constant reminder of doing so. And when I'm working with pencils, it's the same thing. You want to keep your pencils sharp. I'm refining the right eye now and drawing it. And why the right eye and not the left? Well, I have no idea. Maybe because I'm right-handed. I always seem to have a preference for drawing the right eye first. And once I get it as close as possible and the way I like it, then I may venture into the left. But I give myself a good amount of time before I try to do the left one, because I used to do that in the past and I struggled for so long to get the second eye correct. And because now I know that I will get it wrong, I avoid it by just not working on it and continue working on everything else. And it's sort of a warm-up. Like if you go in for a run, I'm a runner, I like to run too, and it's the same thing. When you're running, you want to start walking first and build up momentum. You don't start really fast from the beginning. You need to get your body warm enough to adjust to the new speed. And I see drawing or painting the exact same way. You need time to adjust, your eyes need to adjust, and the more information you have, and the more you draw and the more you paint, then the easier it will be to tackle the most complicated areas. All right, well, the moment has come in which I need to start drawing the left eye. I really can't postpone this any further. So I'm gonna give it a try, and I know it won't look right from the beginning, but I need to get it in place as quickly as I can first, and then later on I will do different things that you're gonna see in the video to make sure that it is what it's supposed to be. I refined the jaw and the cheek. You can see that one of the biggest characteristics of Cillian's is his face, are the cheekbones. He has very strong cheekbones, and I will go as far as say that cheekbones, eyes, and mouth, those three features truly define him. And if you were to see almost every single one of those features individually, you will recognize him instantly. Please don't look too close at that eye, because it's looking kind of strange right now, and there's no other way but to just wait and see what happens. I'm running out of things to say at the moment, and I don't think you guys want me to start talking about the weather. So I'm gonna let this drawing carry itself for a few moments while you listen to the lovely music, and I'll get back to you in a little bit. Well, now that I have seen to have survived drawing both eyes, I can proceed. I am placing the highlight in the middle of the nose, and I notice that his nose is very distinctive because it doesn't have two different partitions in it. It has just one small ball right in the middle of it. So it's important to get that right. And I'm doing it with the Monarcero pencil, and I'm lifting the phildrum right above the upper eye now with the same tool, and right around the mouth. It's important to notice that when working with the vine charcoal, you do not have the precision that you have with pencils, so getting the exact likeness is going to be utterly impossible. We just cannot do it because the vine charcoal stick is thick even when it's sharpened. It doesn't hold the point. So I need to get it as close as I possibly can within the ballpark, and then know that later on the pencil will refine it if I decide to take this further and refinish it with the pencil. The real challenge with vine charcoal is control, because vine charcoal doesn't like precision. It wants to stay loose. So instead of fighting it, I'm working with it. It's all a dance between soft edges, lost edges. Some of the parts have to disappear. I can only suggest details, but I can't really draw them perfectly. There is a moment in every portrait where either becomes a person or it stays a drawing. But that moment is the eyes? Well, not exactly the eyes, it's what's behind them. We are not trying to draw the shape of the eye. We're trying to catch that tension, that stillness, that intensity. And with someone like Cillian Murphy, the eyes do something strange. They feel calm and unsettling at the same time. Like he's thinking something you don't know. With a face like Cillian Murphy, that's everything. There is something in his gaze, quiet, controlled, but never empty. It holds tension, it holds thought, it holds something just out of reach. Somewhere between the first mark and the final shadow, a drawing decides what it wants to be. Most never make it past the surface. They have the structure, the proportions, the likeness, but they don't look back at you. I'm lucky because I have a huge mirror or armoire behind my easel that is all covered with mirrors. So I am constantly checking the mirror reflection of the drawing to see if I get it right, but that acts as a second opinion, but sometimes you do need a third opinion. So my third opinion is going to be turning the drawing upside down. That way I finally draw the shapes that I actually see, not the shapes that I think I see. And hopefully that will give me the last accuracy that I need and make him look a little bit more like himself. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. There is always a moment at the end of a drawing like this where you have to decide to stop. Not because it's perfect, but because it's alive. Fine charcoal doesn't forgive control. It resists perfection. It forces you to let go, to suggest instead of define. And somewhere in that softness, something more honest appears. When I look at the eyes now, they're no longer just marks on paper. They hold something quiet, something human. And that's the real goal. Not accuracy, but presence. It's easy to get lost chasing details. Every pore, every strand of hair. But the soul of a portrait doesn't live in the details. It lives in the relationships. Light against shadow, edge against air, intention against restraint. And maybe that's what this medium teaches best. That sometimes the less you force something, the more it reveals itself. So I'm going to leave it here. Not finished, just complete. Because at a certain point, the drawing starts to breathe on its own. And if you push past that, you risk taking that breath away. If you want to improve your drawing, try limiting your tools like this. It forces you to see differently. And if you enjoy this video, I'll take this further by working on the same drawing using the best charcoal pencils I have. See you in the next one.